Come on. How come that's screwed up? All right. I don't know why that's messed up. Let me get this off there. Where are you at? Remove. Bop. Get out of my way. Here we go. Sorry, folks. This thing is just driving me crazy right now. Let me bring this down. No music or anything, Pags. Messed me all up on my computer here. I had to remove a spot. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to National Professional Sports. I'm your host, Mac, with your co-host, the Philly sports guy, Pags. We'll be having a few other guys come in, Keith Angle. We'll be having James Martin. We'll be having CJ Simone coming in as the show progresses. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Pags. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Not too bad.
Okay.
Could be worse.
Okay. All right. First, we're going to get into the NBA. The Knicks and the 76ers going on to game 6. It was the Maxey show in game 5. He put up 47. Josh Hart misses the key free throws at the end of the game. So we're back to Philadelphia. And let me tell you, the Knicks invaded Philadelphia. New York invaded Philadelphia the first game. They're going to do it again this game, Pags. And they'll be shouting MVP every time Brunson makes a shot. And they will beat the 76ers in game 6.
You better hope so. You don't want the Sixers going back to game 7. I didn't think that the Sixers were going to get past yesterday. So
Right.
the fact that they did that was a surprise. As far as New York infiltrating Philadelphia, I do have something to say about that. First off, all those fans are like, you could say whatever you want about Philly fans. They are assholes, straight assholes. I mean, you want to go ahead and go into somebody else's house and start acting like that, that's fine, whatever. But then go ahead and get the repercussions. But I'm going to blame the ownership on that. It's
Okay.
ownership's fault on that, because ownership, instead of putting the tickets out there for sale, they put them all on the resale market and gouged the prices up. And ultimately, all the New York fans, because they're so used to spending $500, which was the cheapest ticket yesterday, $500 for a single round ticket. So all those New Yorkers came down to Philly. Well, listen, this isn't a weekend game anymore. You know what I mean? So that's not going to be as simple as that. They ain't going to just be able to drive down here like that and outnumber the Sixers. But I blame the ownership. And I tell you, after this playoffs is over, championship or not, I want this ownership gone. I don't want this ownership anymore. I want a Philly team. I want a Philly guy to own the Philly team. I don't want some guy who owns that owns the friggin' Devils, that owns the Washington, whatever they're called this week, and all these other things, because all it is money to them. Well, screw that. I want a Philadelphia guy who knows what he's doing here, and I will not spend another dime of money for that franchise. And I will talk bad about that franchise until he sells it, because I don't want him here. Go buy one of these other teams that are about to come in the league. Go buy a new team rather than deal with my team, because I don't want you here anymore. I think that it's a load of crap, and that you want to go gouging prices because you want the dollar. All these New Yorkers come in from out of town. Get the frig out of here. I don't want you as my owner anymore, and you suck as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. All right, Pags. So I guess you're just a little upset with the ownership right now. Listen, I mean, I get it. I mean, you do want to make the money. That's why you run a team, but you should try to get as many of your hometown fans
Yeah,
in
but you
there.
don't cheat. Don't cheat. Listen, if I buy the ticket and I decide that I want to sell the ticket, then I make that money. Don't cheat. Don't The owner of the team should not take those tickets that he has, buy them up himself, and then put them on the market.
Mhm.
Get the frig out of here. That's I ain't dealing with that. And I tell you, I'm going to be very loud. And trust me, a lot more people like me than like the ownership of the Sixers. So I'll be able to get some traction on that. And I don't care if they win a championship or not. They go to the parade or not. I don't care. I am talking bad about this ownership. This ownership sucks. All of his teams suck. Washington sucks. The Devils suck. And now the Sixers, they suck too. At least the ownership does.
Okay. Okay, there you go. Listen, listen, you can't ask for a better series between these two teams. Both physical teams. They both have their flaws. They both have their strengths. New York's probably got a better bench than Philadelphia. There ain't nobody the Knicks have that can compare to Embiid and Maxey on the floor at the same time. So it's a very physical. It's going to be a great series. Whoever wins it, of course, I'm hoping the Knicks do, and you're hoping the 76ers do. But whoever wins this goes on to play. I'm not even sure who they're going to play coming up. I would imagine it's going to either be Cleveland or Indiana or one of those teams.
Now, Cleveland, Indiana plays that winner of that series goes to the Celtics. We're going to play the winner of the Indiana Bucks series.
Okay, so whoever wins that series will be facing one of our two teams, and I think we should be able to beat them. So I
think either one of these teams beats the Bucks or Indiana. I tell you, the one thing I was happy about looking at in the score sheet was that Embiid decided to go under the basket and do some rebounds because they're tired of getting out rebounded by 25 plus.
Yeah.
And the Sixers are having a very difficult time with the full court press all game long, which is exactly what Villanova did to win their national championship.
Great
so
point.
it's definitely something right out of Jay Wright's playbook.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if by chance Thibodeau loses this series. Do you think he has a possibility of getting fired?
I don't think so, Pags. I'm going to tell you why. I think what he did this year with all those injuries that he had and the Knicks continued to win, I think he did an excellent job. If they were healthy and that happened, all year, then I could see them letting him go. But for the kind of year they had, I mean, listen, I don't know how the Knicks continued to win without most of their starters out. So he did a pretty good job this year. I give him credit for that anyway.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he loses in this first round, and I'm saying just in a first round exit, that I would not be surprised to have Jay Wright take the call.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. Definitely possible.
That would be something. Like I said, that the way they've been playing this series is straight out of Jay Wright's playbook.
Yes.
Like they have literally been implementing Jay Wright's playbook. And of course, they've got three guys from Villanova who played on those teams. So it's not crazy to think that, Jay Wright is a New York guy.
Yeah.
That was his dream job, the Knicks job.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me to see him get the phone call if by chance the Knicks lose this series.
Even if he doesn't get head coach, maybe they bring him on as assistant. Him and Brunson would be unbelievable for.
No. You don't have him as an assistant. Jay Wright. Why would he come on as assistant? Jay Wright he's the leader or no? That's the only way he could coach.
Well, with the promise that when Thibodeau leaves or is fired, he gets the starting job.
Well, when you bring him on, all of a sudden your team does so much better. You're going to get Thibodeau's going to get that credit. Why would he want that?
That's a point. That's a good point. All right. Embiid.
Yeah,
he's playing like a dirty player. I gotta be honest with you, Bags. Throwing elbows, poking people in the eye, grabbing people when they're going up. And I think a lot of it is frustration, and a lot of it is because he's tired at the end of the game. Because of his
I found some tissues left from the Giants, from the Giants from a couple of years ago. Sounds like a lot of crying to me. Listen, they are hacking the living hell out of him and Maxey. Hacking the living hell out of both of them. So all of a sudden he starts playing a little bit back, a little bit rougher, and you're crying about it? Stop it. Stop it. Stop crying. I don't want to hear about the tears from all the New York fans and all the guys on the hey, you didn't make that call. Why didn't you call that? He fouled me. Wah. I'm so tired of hearing it from the Knicks.
I'm just telling you, Pax. We were in the locker room crying like Embiid was. Like, hey, we're better than them, and we're not getting the call.
Hold on. He didn't cry. He says we're better than them. We're going to win this series. That's what he said. I want that out of my guy.
He was crying about the fouls too, Pags. They fouled Maxey twice and all this
Right.
stuff.
Oh, that the NBA then turned around and said, "Yep, they got it wrong. Not once, not twice, but 3 times." Come on now. Stop it. Stop it. I don't want to hear you crying. Stop your crying. Wah! Wah! Stop it. Stop it, Mac.
I'm just telling you that you can't just blame the Knicks for crying when Embiid's doing the same thing. That's all I'm saying.
Well, he started to do the same thing now because, guess what? He gets the one with the flagrant fouls. He's the one getting the calls. You know, none of the other guys. In overtime, they literally crushed Maxey as he was going down the lane for a 2-point play. Crushed him on the ground, hands up in the air like this. What? No call? No, nothing? Are you kidding me?
Now who's crying? You can use those tissues yourself back there.
Listen, you're the one that brought this up. I don't bring up the crying. We won the game, did we not? Did we not win the game? Just like you guys did in game 1, scored like all those points with no time left on the clock. That's what the Sixers did. Don't go home for game 7. Game 7 is a Sixers win.
Well, first of all, they're not going to be game 7. The Knicks will win in 6. Good evening, J Train. How you doing today? You came in at a great time as Pags is trying to defend his
Hurricane Pack was going at it. You category 6.
yes, he was. So he knows what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. The Knicks just have a more deep bench than the 76ers, and they will outlast them here in game 6.
Yeah, but they're looking to make a series interesting. I think the only downside, I think it would be an even more evenly matched series if Embiid wasn't dealing with the injury. Embiid, because he looks so sluggish, man. I tell you, he's battling some serious issues with that leg, and you can see it because he's 7'2" and he's getting blocked by a few guys here and there. But I mean, I commend him for being out there because Embiid is a warrior, man, out there. But I just don't see. I think Maxey had a tremendous game, man. Maxey just came out of nowhere. Those 2 threes within the last 28 seconds were just incredible, man.
Yes.
Of all regular part. But yeah, it's gonna be tough for them. I think the Knicks might close it out the next game.
And the thing
they better hope. They don't want to go back to game 7.
And the thing is, that even though Philadelphia has probably the best 2 players on the court at the same time, not taking nothing away from Brunson, he really doesn't have that with him like Embiid and Maxey does. Again, the Knicks defense, as Pags mentioned, the half-court pressure, they keep the pressure on. I think it's going to slow them down more. They've got to control Maxey in game 6 if they want to win it. They're not going to stop him, but they got to control him. All right. Okay.
So I agree.
They got to control him. They got to control that. And you know what? We do need a third person to step up a little bit. I mean, it's been horrible. Tobias Harris, come on! Every playoffs you got to put out the missing person sign. Come on, let's go.
I agree. Milwaukee grabs game 5, 115, 92 over Indianapolis. Lopez has the big game on that side with 27. Rivers says Giannis and Lillard are close to returning. Now, I don't know what that means. Does that mean they're going to return this series? Are they going to return next series? What is close? What's far away? I mean, I really think Milwaukee doesn't make it through this series, guys. I
agree. Portis and Middleton, they came out. They came with their A game, and I was saying hello to my mother-in-law. They came with their A game, got 29 points apiece. But can they do that again? Do they have enough to be able to do that 2 games back to back? And I just don't think so. And not having your premier players, at least offensively, it's really just hurting them. And I just think Halliburton and Turner and the rest of those boys will be just too much for them.
Yeah, I would say you're right there too. Cleveland squeaks by Orlando. It's a better series than I thought it would be in the beginning, guys. I really do. I didn't think Orlando could deal with Cleveland's physicality. but they've been making outside shots. They're hanging in there. They barely Cleveland barely gets by them. Mobley, what a player! 14 points and 13 rebounds. I mean, he's not a superstar. I would say he's going to be a star in this league.
Well,
James, yeah, I was going to say.
I think okay. Yeah, he's probably, like you say, a star, not a superstar, but just enough to be able to contribute to help Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen. Man, they need another guy sufficiently, and Mobley can do that. But I mean, will it be enough to be able to push further? I mean, Cleveland's a middle of the road team. That's just where they are. That's that they won't go any further than that. And I would put them in Indiana in the same boat where they are, and Orlando, no further than that.
Yeah. Pag?
I ain't got nothing to add to that.
All right. Yeah. Me and Pag, we're saying no matter if the 76ers win or the Knicks win, they're going to win the next. Whoever they play, Cleveland, Orlando, whoever it is, they're going to.
Well, it's not Cleveland or Orlando. That winner plays Boston.
Right.
We play the winner of the Indiana Bucks game.
Right. So as Pat,
I think either way, whoever wins our series is going to win that series, and Boston's going to win the other series, and it's going to be Boston versus somebody who wins this series.
I agree with
that too.
Oklahoma City sweeps New Orleans. Of course, Zion didn't play in the series too. I mean, the guy had a great year, played all year, plays the Lakers, has a 40-point game, and see you later. I mean, do they got to start thinking about what to do with Zion? I mean, I know he had a great year, but again, the injury stops him in the end.
Like I said in the previous episode we had, I just think he's just too much of an investment, and the benefits far outweigh the risk. You just don't get a generational talent like that often, and you picked him in 1 overall. He's not a bust. He's just, availability has just been the issue, and of course weight. He seems to be getting the weight in line. He played all season, with took 25 pounds off. He came in the season out of shape, but he worked on that. Looked like he's getting it together. I think that this freak injury with the hamstring is just that. It's just freakish. And so I think if he comes in the season in the beginning in good shape, I think he'll be able to be able to manifest. It'll manifest itself that showing that he's a great player. And then you get another player to come in and help him and McCollum. They need maybe one. I don't think Brandon Ingram is the guy there.
Okay. All right. And let's say hi to Keith Engel from DGI Sports Talk. Good evening, Keith.
Hey, guys. How are you?
What's up, Keith?
We're doing pretty good. I mean, Pags was a little bit crazy in the beginning, but he's calmed down a little bit now. So, so now we can move forward and be civil about things. So, Keith.
I'm sure I'll catch back up if we hear Keith crying like you did.
Oh my God! Here we go. Keith,
I won't cry. That's a horrible loss, and there's no excuse. None.
Are you scared for Game 7? You guys feel like you have to put it out in Game 6?
I don't want to get to a Game 7, but I'm not scared of playing it. I mean, I worry about any team recovering from a collapse like that last night. Any team. You're going to find out what they're made out of in Game 6. I'd like to see them wrap it up there. I'm going to
ask you the same question I asked Mac. The Knicks lose this series. Does Thibodeau get fired?
My gut reaction is no, but this is New York, so anything can happen. This would be a horrible loss. I mean, up 3 games to 1 and a 5. What was it? I don't remember if it was 5 or 6 points.
5 points with 27 seconds left, or 21 seconds left.
It's hard to come back from that. If they lose this series, it will be hard. It will be difficult on Tibbs. I would not fire him, but again, I'm not Dolan.
Well, the reason why I even ask that is because I feel like that this whole series, that the Knicks have taken pages out of Jay Wright's playbook. And they're playing the same way Villanova played when they won the national championship. If they lose this first round, I think that there's probably more of a possibility that they let Thibodeau go and they give a phone call to Jay Wright. Actually, I'd give the phone call to Jay Wright first to see if he's interested. And then if he is interested, say it Thibodeau and bring in Jay Wright.
He's the only guy I would want to see bring in here if they were going to fire Tibbs, to be quite honest with you. And I also don't think Jay Wright's coming back. I think he's done with coaching.
Actually, and the only reason why I disagree with that is because the Knicks job was his dream job.
True.
He said it numerous times. He's still a young guy. He's got half of his team where there is no transfer portal. There is no bullshit going on with that. He's got his own team playing for him already at the Knicks. Wouldn't even surprise me if he tried to trade a few players to get the guy from the Nets too.
It's the only team I think if Jay, and I do think he's done. I will say that one more time. But if he were to come back, I got to believe that'd be the only job he'd come back for, college or pros.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with that.
All right.
Can I chime in about the Tibbs? I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
And again, I wouldn't fire him. Just to be clear, I don't want to fire Tibbs. I would not fire him.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that because, I mean, I'm saying, what have the Knicks done before Tibbs? I mean,
It's a long dry spell.
Man.
Well, hold on. Hey, well, let's say if he loses in the first round and then loses in the first round, does that make him a great coach?
Well, he won a game. They won a round last year, so it's not like they didn't win any playoff series. They beat the Cavaliers last year. They lost to the Heat in the second round. So, but this would be again, this is New York and it's different. It's way different here, man. You can't lose
Right.
Having a 5-point lead in the clinching game or 5-point lead with 27 seconds left. You can't. You just can't. But I wouldn't fire him. It's just
welcome in, CJ.
It's a place like no other, though. Well, Philly's the same way, I guess, in a lot of ways, but it's different.
Welcome in, CJ Simone, the painkiller. How you doing today, CJ?
Doing good, gentlemen. Sorry about being a little bit late. Work kind of ran a little bit over, but we're doing all right.
Yeah, don't worry. I won't find you too much if it was work related, CJ. So don't worry about getting fined that much right now. So first of all, let me tell you something about Keith Angle. Keith Angle has the 3 most popular YouTube videos, 3 out of the 4 top YouTube videos. One was interviewing a kicker, a Miami Dolphin kicker. That's his #1 video, believe it or not.
Shaman, Oklahoma.
Yes.
Nice.
And then I think Mike Heath was one of them. He was one of the top videos. And the guy from St. John, don't know his name real quick. Former
Matt Brust, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the fourth video goes to Pags in his NFL East show. That was the 4th most popular. So there you go. That's the YouTube most popular videos out there. So if you want to check them out, go over to our YouTube channel, check them out. CJ, I'm trying to finish up this basketball thing and get on to football. Your thoughts on the Knicks and Philadelphia?
Well, I tell you, it's been all over sports radio today, and pretty much I think the Knicks, lost that game as opposed to the Sixers winning that game. But you got to give the Sixers a lot of credit because a lot of people at the beginning of this season thought the Knicks were, at the beginning of the series, thought that the Knicks were just going to come in and roll all over them. So, you can't expect for the Sixers not to come in and to put up a fight. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're showing a little bit of resilience, just like the city of Philadelphia. You knock them down, they get back up. It is what it is. That's their mentality. So, the Knicks are going to be in for a fight, and they need to take care of business because if this series goes 7 games, there is a very real possibility that the Knicks will not make it out of the first round.
Yeah, that's
First
the
thing
same
I agree with that this panel has said.
No,
Because
You
look,
know,
I mean,
you don't want to go to Game 7. Do not
No.
want to go to Game 7.
you
You
know,
guys got to win it in Philly.
one of the statistics that I find interesting, especially with all of the major sports, in regards to a 7-game series, it's really just like a ridiculous stat, and I was actually just I was mind blown when I looked at it. But teams that actually go up 3-1 in a series and end up losing that series in 7 games happens more often than you guys would actually think. And
Just
it's
ask
close
Doc
to
Rivers.
it's close to the tune of about it's close to the tune of about 37 to 42%. So being up 3 games to 1 in a series does not mean that the team you're playing against is just going to roll over.
I agree with that.
Typically, whoever wins Game 5 is the series winner, and that's like at 60-some%.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Yep.
that is a good point.
Yep.
So
So let's get into the NFL, guys. Phil Simms, Boomer Esiason, not signed by CBS. Matt Ryan will be joining the crew. Boomer, get an extension with WFAN. I would imagine Phil Simms will get another job, be an announcer, maybe in a nighttime show, maybe with his son. That would be pretty cool if he ended up on the same show with his son. But two announcers that spent over 20 years with CBS being let go. Does this move really move the ratings, bringing on Matt Ryan? I mean, I don't know. I mean, is this really going to help out CBS pregame?
Listen, Phil Simms was about as dry as a popcorn fart. I tell you, he was never any good. I mean, he was a great quarterback, but listening to him talk and on these football, I couldn't stand his voice. Couldn't stand his voice. Yeah. Boomer was just like he is on every show. It seems Boomer. Like there is a Boomer type on every show. So I mean, he's a dime a dozen, but I couldn't stand those Sims. He sounded like he was just so very lethargic, spoke too slow. Just I couldn't handle it.
I'll disagree with Pags. I like Phil Simms a lot over the last it seems like 20 years. I don't know how long he's been. First, he did games with Jim Nantz, and I would take him back with Jim Nantz and get rid of Tony Romo in a heartbeat. If CBS had some kind of brains, because Romo thinks he's getting paid by the word, and there's a guy I can't stand listening to anymore because he doesn't let the game breathe. And I liked Phil Simms. Was he the most insightful guy out there? No, but I always liked his perspective and the way that he carried himself. But CBS better be careful how they classify this whole thing, because they start firing 60-somethings without reason. There'll be lawsuits. So you better be careful. When you get in your 60s,
well, they really didn't. They really didn't fire him. They just didn't re-sign them. So I mean, that's a little different. James, I see you kind of laughing in that. What is Matt Ryan? I mean, I guess Matt Ryan, he has a lot of experience as a good quarterback. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, is he better than Boomer Esiason? I guess we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think we'll have to wait and see. And Keith, I really have to slightly disagree with you about the Tony Romo comment.
Yes.
Man, I guess from a younger guy's perspective, man, he's sort of refreshing to hear him.
As long as you don't want to hear or anything
I'm
else.
a huge fan of Nantz. I love Nantz. Nantz called a great game, man. Great Super Bowls, everything. He's just on it.
Yeah.
But Phil Simms, man, I like Phil Simms, and I like Boomer Esiason as well. It's just, I think maybe from the perspective of the corporate level, they're probably just looking. Maybe it's time to get some fresh young blood in, and I would just think that's probably where they're looking at, just to get younger people. I mean, because you got to think about it. A lot of the Gen Zs and millennials, they're looking at these. A lot of them are watching games. A lot of us. I mean, I'm a Gen X. And of course, boomers, I know we're all still watching the game, but yeah, that's right. Gen X, But it's just TV, everything. It just seems to be a younger person's game. I mean, those guys were young once. Bill Sims, like you said, 20 years, right?
27.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean,
the same thing's going to happen on Fox because those guys are even older over on Fox.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
it's just what it is.
Well, Keith, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to get CJ in here about Fox. Listen, Fox, to me, I watch Fox more than CBS. If there's a game I want to on CBS, I'll watch CBS. I like the chemistry between Strahan. I think Terry Bradshaw is funny as hell still. And only one I really don't like, maybe because it's a Cowboy, is a Cowboy ex-Cowboy head coach there.
Jimmy
really
Johnson.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson.
I don't like him at all.
I hear a little
really
bit of bias there.
Yeah, there is, but I mean, it's just goddamn Cowboys. Take that off the screen, all right? We don't want to hear about the Cowboys. But what do you think, CJ? What do you think about which broadcast do you watch? I know you watch the Jets, which is on CBS, but if you have a choice, which one would you watch?
If I had a choice, all right. Now, my personal choice, my dream team would that I wish would call every football game is obviously Chris Collinsworth and his name escapes me.
Mike Tirico?
Yeah.
Mike Tirico?
No, before him.
Al Michaels.
It was
Al Michaels.
Al Michaels. Yeah.
Al Michaels. There was just something about Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. The chemistry
Chris
that they
Collinsworth.
had. But see, here's the reason why I like Chris Collinsworth is because he gives it to you from a player's point of view. Now, I know sometimes when he says things, he kind of makes you scratch your head, but he does add a little bit more of an element of passion. But for me, nothing will beat Pat Summerall and John Madden.
Yeah.
Nothing. There is
Well,
no
I tell you who's very, very close to that right now, and in my eyes, and you only hear him on the radio, Kevin Harlow and Kurt Warner.
I know.
Harlan,
I think those guys are.
he's a screamer. I hate
Kevin Harlan is
Harlan
great.
Screams too much, though. You know.
I love
All
the
I
way he
know-
calls a game.
Me too. All I know is Chris Collinsworth has got to be careful when he starts talking about women. Didn't know women like football. I mean, I think everybody
Right.
almost
Well,
went to the roof
that's
over
also being tone deaf and not reading the room. So
And showing my age again, I'll say, you know what, CJ? I agree with you about Pat Summerall, except I love John Madden, but I thought Tom Brookshire was even better with Madden.
yeah,
the original.
Wow.
The original.
Summerall.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the original.
Oh, I am.
Yes.
And
Yes.
as an old,
So,
one more quick thing on announcers. If I had my way, Doc Emmerich would come out of retirement and call every sport on the board.
Doc Emmerich and Kenny Albert. Put
That's
the
right.
two of them together.
Love Doc Emmerich. He should call everything.
You know, he started out as a Flyers announcer,
Yeah.
television announcer for Prism.
Yeah.
That's where he came
I
from.
like Kenny Albert too, CJ.
as long as he stays away from the women's underwear, I mean, I'm all for
No,
it.
that's Mark. That's Mark. That's the father.
Well,
Yeah, that was that. He was biting the
Kenny
backs.
All right.
Personal preferences.
Yes.
Kenny has
I mean, that's-
successfully pulled the Albert name out of the gutter. And the reason why he has is because he did not engage in the same stupidity that his father got in.
Right.
Hey, you can't help what you like.
Hey, listen, hey, do what you want. I mean, I have no problem with that. Everybody has the right to do their thing, right? I mean, anyway, Jason Kelsey, go to Monday night. To me, is a great personality. A lot of fun. I think he picks up that Monday Night Football and adds a little bit of entertainment to it. I know Pags would probably agree with me there.
Actually, I don't. I'm not a fan. I'm honest. I mean, I'm dead honest about it. If they use him, so I thought about this. If they use him in like a Jerry Saragusa style, then I'd be okay with it. I mean, I love Jason Kelsey. If he was in front of me right now, he would never have to buy a beer. I'd buy all his beer. But that all being said, I'm like Kelsey'd out. It's like, I mean, you can't argue with some of the accomplishments that he's done off the field in this regard. I don't know. I'm just not interested in seeing him on every Monday night football cast.
I would. I'd enjoy seeing him. I think he's a fun guy. I think he kind of reminds me of like a Danny Don Meredith, right? Just kind of on there talking about anything, having a good time, irritating people. I would love to see him on there. So,
he's only doing the pregame, right? He's on the pregame show, not the telecast itself.
Yes, he's part of the studio. Right. It's a good point. Yeah. Good point. So anyway, his brother Jason Kelsey signs a new contract, $34 million for 2 years, $17 million guaranteed each year. I mean, that's a heck of a contract, James. I know he's getting old. He didn't have a really great year. He had a really good postseason. He kind of ran his team at the end of the year. But I mean, listen, Super Bowl champion twice, going for his third year. What are your thoughts on that contract?
He deserves it. And I think he's going to play well again the next year. I mean, if he drops off, it may be slightly. I mean, he's playing tight end. You look at the success of Tony Gonzalez. I mean, this guy played into years when he played for Atlanta. And I mean, obviously he was really great when he was with Kansas City, but he did some great things in his older age with Atlanta. They went to did he go to the Super Bowl with them? Yes, was he with them still? Yeah, he was still with them. Yes. So, I mean, they did great things there. I think the same for this guy. I mean, as long as you're able to block, you can run a few routes here and there. You might, lose some of your top end speed. I mean, because he's a pretty fast guy for his size. And you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes still throwing you the ball. I don't see it dropping off, but maybe a tad. But $17 million, I think that's a steal for him.
Good evening to Rick Sherlock, one of our most loyal fans on the whole network. He's always on every show. So thanks for joining us tonight, Rick. Let's see. Frank Gore Jr., son, of course, the great Frank Gore, signs with Buffalo as an unrestricted free agent. I think that's a great move. I mean, it's almost like a no loss thing. If he's not as good or the kind of player you want, you cut him. You only spend a couple $100,000 on him. He could turn out to be a great football player. CJ, what are your thoughts?
Well, I tell you something. If he's anything like his father, he definitely will have longevity in this league. So the only thing that he needs to do is just go out there, ball out, prove that you belong. And you know what? We could be talking about him the same way we keep talking about Brock Purdy.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It takes. I follow the running back free agent pickup from the Giants. Didn't make the team, but not only do they give you that money, whatever it is, the signing is, they also send the weights to your apartment so you can work out. The playbooks, everything. So they really do everything they can to make sure you make the team. Pretty cool. Pags, 3 free agents that are left after the draft. You have Ryan Tannehill, Tyler Boyd, wide receiver, and of course the ex-Dallas quarterback Stephon Gilmore. Of those 3, if the Eagles were to pick one of them, which one would you want to see him?
Tannehill.
Really?
No doubt in my mind. First off, any Cowboy that ever comes to the Eagles sucks. And it goes the other way around, too. Just for some reason, any player who was on the Cowboys that goes to the Eagles or any Eagle that goes to the Cowboys doesn't work out for either team. So leave that behind. I hope that doesn't work that same way for coordinators, because then we'd have a really big problem.
That's
but,
true.
But yeah.
For a cornerback, too, so.
So, and just to go backwards just a second, I'm willing to bet that Travis Kelce only plays 1 year in that contract. He retires after this next year coming up. He's not going to stay for the $34 million. He'll only get 17.
Okay. All right.
How much of that was guaranteed?
Pretty much all of it. 17 mil each year was 34 mil.
Yeah, I know, but how much of it was guaranteed?
I told you 17 mil each year.
Yeah, but he didn't guarantee the whole $34 million. So if he gets dropped next year, he's not going to get $34 million. He's only going to get 17.
Right.
So that's what I'm getting at. I'm trying to find out how much was guaranteed, because that's going to determine on whether he's actually going to play that second year of that contract or not.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Zach Wilson. We'll turn to TJ for this. He ends up at the Denver Broncos. They're not going to sign his final fifth year, which would have been $20 million, something ridiculous like that. But he's still on the team. He will be competing with Bo Nix and Stidman for the job. Does Zach Wilson have any chance of starting for the Denver Broncos this year?
Nope. Once he gets cut, he ends up in the CFL if he ends up playing professional football ever again.
Okay. All right.
I like Keith's face.
He'll get a job somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Not
But
playing.
I mean, he really doesn't need a job because I mean, what, his grandfather or his father owns JetBlue or whatever, so his future's already set. Plus whatever contract that he got from the New York Jets. So I mean, he's not going to be hurting for money. So the question whether or not is if he wants to prove to the world that he is a competent starting quarterback, then should have taken my advice and should have stepped out and went to the CFL, and followed the route of Doug Flutie and actually learned how to play the position, and then maybe try to reintegrate back into the NFL at some point in the
You're
future.
so wrong. He needs to be around his mom so that he could use her friends, or his mom's friends. That's what he's missing. He's just not getting any.
I think
not
that's
around,
his problem.
can't do his friends.
That's what I think. I think his brain.
I swear to God,
hey,
listen, there are a lot of. I learned a lot of different things from football players by going to every game, and I tell you, there are guys that may or may not be married or what have you, but if they are trying to work something out and it doesn't work out the night before a game, they have a bad game. And I've seen this firsthand by like potential Hall of Fame players. So, I mean, straight out, that's the problem. He's not getting any, and it's affecting his play.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. I mean, because for me, it's like, I know when I played pickup deck hockey, not like it's a real big thing, but I mean, if I didn't get any the night before, I knew I was taking the court and I was going to be pissed off. It was just a matter of just how many goals I was going to score. So
I'd be interested to see what Sean Payton can do with him. I'm not saying he's going to start, but I'd be interested to see if he can flip his career around, to be a competent backup. We'll see.
I don't know. And Chris is saying Russell Wilson to be the Messiah in Pittsburgh. What are you talking about?
Russell Wilson won't even get a snap and regular season play in Pittsburgh.
Messiah.
Chris is up there in Toronto. He might be thinking about the Argonauts tonight, but anyway, my thoughts on Russell Wilson are well documented. I think he's done, and I think he's been done, and I agree with Bags.
I think it all depends on who wins the training camp. If Russell Wilson plays better than Fields in training camp, or vice versa, that who ends up starting the season. So
that's fair. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
And if it's Russell Wilson, then the coach gets his first losing season. That's so that ought to be about right.
That might happen.
I don't know about that. If because I think that Mike Tomlin is not one to kind of let somebody go out there and languish. Like, especially if you're on a 3-game or 4-game losing streak, he will put boot to ass and make a change if he needs to.
And not only that,
he should make sure he wins the job.
Not only that, I mean, look at the quarterbacks he's had the last couple of years, and he's still made it over 500. That's a defensive team. They don't rely on their offense as much as other teams do. So
That's a
Interesting.
testament to coaching.
Yeah, definitely. So I got to let you guys in on something. I talked to Pags about this. My co-host and I thought my good friend Jack Hirsch set me up on the Golden Gloves boxing show, right? Before we got in, he wanted my opinion on who I thought would win Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. And me, I've gone on record saying already that I think Tyson not only beats Jake Paul, but beats him maybe by knockout third, fourth round. Then he asked me who I would pick versus, try to remember his name now, going to fight Fury. Pags, I tell you his name earlier. I can't remember his name now. Usyk. He says, does he have a puncher's chance against Usyk? And I said, well, puncher's chance means, whatever. He gets one lucky shot in, two good shots, and maybe he can beat him. So he brings on Frank Laterzo, tells him what I said. And of course, Frank Laterzo says he has no chance at beating Usyk, Alexander Usyk. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul first. This is a real fight now, guys. This is an exhibition. The rules are a little different. They kind of favor Tyson because they're quicker rounds and less rounds. So the shape, he has to be able to fight in bursts, which I think Mike Tyson can do. And I think the heavy gloves also favor him. He's going up against Jake Paul, who's never beat a professional fighter. He even lost to Fury's brother. So your thoughts, with all that being said, who wins this fight, Tyson or Jake Paul? Pax, since you're next to me, I'll let you go first.
Not even a question. It's Mike Tyson.
Okay.
No questions asked. The fact that I was surprised that they sanctioned a fight with 8 rounds and 2-minute rounds. Like that's an odd one. I thought to sanction fights, it has to be just like every other fight. So like they do 4-round fights, but there's got to be 3-minute rounds. I didn't realize you could sanction a fight with different time in the rounds.
I guess they can basically do what they want as long as they sign off on it. James, do you have anything different? You think Jake Paul beats Tyson?
Well, it's just I like the fact that Tyson is coming back and he feels revitalized. I mean, he's showing little clips here and there that he's still quick. He's got the moves, but speed is gone. It's gone. He has power, but he's also 58, and I like to see him last 8 minutes with a young man and going 2 minutes. I'm not saying that Jake Paul is a world beater. He's not. I mean, he's a, what do you call this? He's an attraction. He's an internet attraction, but he can still actually fight though. He can fight.
Yeah.
And to get in the ring with somebody and all he has to do is just go jog around the ring and then see his power.
But James, he's not that type of fighter. He doesn't dance. He comes right at you, which will be playing right into Mike Tyson's.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to go right at Mike Tyson. I mean, that's still, I don't care how old Tyson is. It's still Mike Tyson. I'm not going to just go at him either. I mean, well, I'm not a fighter like this guy, but my perception from his vantage point, I'm not going to go straight at this guy who just knock people out for a living. I mean, it's just not with power. I mean, one of the best power hitters I've ever seen with his uppercut, just incredible. I wouldn't dare come at him like that. I'd tire him out and then come at him. But I mean, Tyson also said,
how old was Rocky Balboa in the movie Rocky Balboa?
I'd like to
point out it was a movie.
I'll do you one better.
He was 57.
I'll do you one better. George Foreman was in his late 40s when he won the championship.
48.
Yes.
48 years old, yeah.
10 years younger. 10 years younger.
CJ, it is. CJ, if it goes to the 8th round and it's a split decision, people think it will be Tyson who will get the win for the WBC. That's just because if Tyson lasts that long and he does put a good showing, they're probably going to give him the decision.
I think that Jake Paul's going to get an education in boxing going up against Mike Tyson.
Thank you.
And I think that's probably as much of a gimmick as a lot of people seem to think. I think that this could actually be a learning experience for Jake Paul, because if he really does have the drive and determination that he does want to be a professional fighter, who better to learn from than the guy who pretty much ruled the game for almost a decade? So, and I think that a lot of people are selling Mike Tyson short, like, even though, James said that the speed may be gone a little bit and so on, but the boxing IQ is still there. And so whatever it is that he lacks in speed, he's going to make up for in other ways.
Yeah, and he's got his hand speed is there. It's just the speed around the ring. His hand speed is still there.
It
I
can't
would
be
be
what it was 20 years ago. That's silly. It's
Of course.
can't even,
Right, but it's still faster than most.
listen. I think the Texas Boxing Association, whoever sanctioned this, it's criminal that they sanction a 58-year-old man who hasn't been in the ring in 20 years to fight in this thing, and they're setting themselves up for something really bad to happen. I know very little about Jake Paul, very little. I don't need to. Mike Tyson hasn't fought in 20 years. I know a lot about being 58 and older, and was not an elite prize fighter, I can tell you that. But the difference between him and George Foreman hadn't sat out 20 years. Foreman was 48 years old, not 58.
Didn't he just fight Roy Jones Jr.?
Who?
No.
Tyson.
Oh, yes.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
Celebrity
But not it was an exhibition, like you said.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
But
like
he
a
still
3
fought.
round. Yeah, it was
And George Foreman did
20 years.
George
20
Foreman
years.
did take a break from boxing, and he was
Not 20 years.
a preacher for a while. Keith, you just don't like Mike Tyson. Let's be honest.
Oh,
all
I
right?
like Mike Tyson a lot. I'd hate to see Mike Tyson go out here and get hurt. 58-year-old man should not be
I
in.
love Mike Tyson, man. But a realist. at the same time.
You guys are backpedaling now, right?
This fight just intrigues me, like, most of all. And the reason being is because just having Tyson come back into pro boxing, could be the B12 shot that this sport needs in order for people to start being interested in it again.
Mike Tyson's going to need the B12 shot.
Listen. You're right about one thing, CJ. This is a great commentary on the state of heavyweight boxing. Is that this is what matters, and even if he were
Boxing
to win,
is dead. Boxing is dead.
Well, there you go. And even if he were to win, it's not like he's going to revive the division, because how many is he going to fight for another 10 years?
No, he won't. But I mean, still, there would probably be the younger generation that would look and say, "Look, if Mike Tyson can do it at his age, then I can go out and do it," and he can maybe inspire a younger generation. So
this is train wreck TV at its best. I mean,
you gotta blame people like Don. What's his name?
King.
Don King, because he
Don
took
King
all
was the
the
worst
money
thing
from
that ever happened to pro boxing.
All the premium heavyweight fighters that were out there, they got robbed by guys like him. So they changed sports. They go play football now. You got defensive linemen, people, because you think about it, most of those guys were like 6'5", 6'6", 240 pounds, 250 pounds, heavyweights. I mean, like George Foreman.
For the most part, they weren't that big.
You know what
230.
boxing needs?
They're 230.
Boxing needs a Don King. Ever since he's been gone, I'm serious. That's what you need. You need somebody to hype it up. That's why we're talking about this Jake Paul thing, because Jake actually hypes it up some. There's no hype behind any of these fights anymore. You got to go to guys that are 60 plus years old to get boxing knowledge from Jack and Frank. I mean, let's talk about this in a real way. Anybody who's watching any type of fight is watching MMA or UFC. So boxing is dead until somebody else starts to pick up the ball where what's his face left it. Boxing's going to fall. It's just going to fail.
You know, the problem is the promoters, guys. That's the problem with boxing right now. It's not the fighters. I mean, you got some great fighters out there. You got Crawford, you got Canelo, you got guys that can really fight and that are great fighters. But the promoters are so careful in scheduling fights. They only schedule fights within their in their promotion, their stable, because they don't want their boxers to go outside, make a lot of money for another promotion. They don't want to see him get hurt by another fighter. It's all controlled by the promoters. That's the biggest problem in boxing today is the top ranks
But Mac, you just named some middleweight and lightweight and the fighters. The biggest draw used to be the heavyweight fight. It used to be the heavyweight fight.
I mean, that's coming, James. Saudi Arabia's doing a hell of a job right now. In fact, they're number one in the world getting fights scheduled. Usyk Fury is going to be huge when they fight. When lightweight, heavyweight championship. What? I'm just saying, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge when they fight.
CJ, what do you think about the Rangers Hurricane series? Because I tell you, I'm already bored with this boxing talk.
Mike Tyson playing in that series because he shouldn't be playing there either. But.
Go ahead.
All right,
Since we only have 5 minutes left in the show, we might as well talk about it. Rod Brindamore versus the Rangers. What do you think?
I tell you something. This is a series that Ranger fans have probably already known that was going to happen. And I tell you, this is going to be probably, and I think the winner of this series wins the Stanley Cup. And I honestly feel like the Rangers have enough firepower to get this done in 6 games because Carolina still has goaltending issues. And I think that Peter Laviolette has finally figured out Rod Brindamore and his defensive system, especially on the penalty kill, where he likes to stand 4 guys up at the blue line and make it play dump and chase. But here is on the other hand, can the Rangers defense continue to play at the level that they're playing like they did versus the Capitals? I feel like that even though the Rangers swept the Capitals, we did not see full 100% New York Ranger hockey. I think this series, Carolina gets it with both barrels. And it's going to be fun to watch, baby.
And I agree with most of what you said, except for the fact that whoever wins this series will lose to Vegas in the Stanley Cup.
You think?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
Vegas. I think the Vegas-Dallas series. If Vegas is to get out, if Vegas gets out of it, they'll beat Colorado. But look for that to be the series. It's going to be 7 versus 8 again in the Western Conference, like it was in the Eastern Conference in 2010.
Yep.
That's what it's going to be.
There's a very real possibility because Vancouver just still doesn't look like the juggernaut that they did during the regular season. Thatcher Demko, he's still a question mark for the next series. I mean, the Bruins right now are just basically counting the days until they face the Florida Panthers, and I have a feeling that that series is going to go 7 games. So the winner of Carolina Rangers is going to be facing a tired hockey team, whoever they play in the ECF, and that's going to be its own separate, interesting storyline to go with it because. Does Florida pull up another upset? Because right now, the Bruins are having nightmares after what happened last night in Toronto.
Yeah.
So
I think the Edmonton Colorado series. I think as much as firepower as Edmonton got, Colorado is back in form again.
They have no defense, Edmonton. That's their problem.
Well, we're getting to the top of the hour, guys. The last thing I want to say, what a great time it is to be a New York fan, Philadelphia, but to be a New York fan with the Yankees, the Rangers, the Knicks. What could you ask for?
Are the Yankees any good? Because I know that the Phillies are leading the league with wins at 21. How good is Joey Gallo batting? Do you know how good Joey Gallo's batting now that he's not a Yankee?
I don't care. I don't care.
He's on the disabled list.
Yeah, he's disabled. Anyway,
is he over 200? That's all we care about.
He is over 200.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks for the likes, loves, and happy faces and all the comments. We'll see you soon. Stay with Roku all night, and we've got a lot of shows for you. So have a great one, folks. From the panel here, let's take it out with a little bit of the Daz Band and let it whip.
Yeah.
You're about to get us banned again? Is that what you're about to do here? You're putting on this bad music to get us banned, get us taken off the airwaves? That's why you got to talk over it all the time?
Yes, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day, folks.